Hey guys, welcome back to the Psalms to God YouTube channel. Usually I would be setting up a 2024 war binder, but I actually still have room in the war binder that I've been using from a long time ago. I haven't been journaling nearly as much as I would like to over the past year. A lot of that has to do with moving and some of the other things that I talked about in other videos. But I also have multiple journals going on. I have the journal that I use for the Women of God series. A few weeks ago, I created or actually, I think it's a few months now, I created the journal for studying the gospel. And so, since I have all of these different journals kind of going on, I didn't really want to create a 2024 war binder. I think in general, I've been moving towards more like grouped content. It's kind of difficult when you journal as much as I have in the past and hope to get back to journaling in the future. When you have just random topics scattered throughout multiple notebooks, it's really difficult to find the information. And even though I've been cataloging that information and trying to make it more organized, it's just really difficult to put your hands on things. So I've been kind of moving towards these topic-based notebooks. So if I want to do a study on this topic, it'll go in this notebook. And if I want to do a study on that topic, it'll go in that notebook. Just trying something new. The more you journal, the more you try, you just figure out what works for you. And sometimes it'll change over time. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just kind of going through that process now. So this journal in particular is for prophecy and studying prophecy. That's what I'm talking about in my podcast right now, which is why I decided to make a journal dedicated to that particular topic. And I plan to use this to springboard my podcast episodes as I go forward. This was an interesting journal to make. I had so many ideas going into it for what I wanted it to be, what I wanted it to look like, and they just kept falling apart. I don't know if that was, just the season, whether it was, Satan trying to discourage me from making this journal. I really don't know, but I had a very different vision than what you see on the screen as I started, and I struggled to get these pages printed and bound and everything else, but we must persevere, and so I did. This is the first notebook I have created that is this particular size. It is a whopping 12 inches by 6 inches, so it's 12 inches long and 6 inches across. I actually found a pile of scrap paper, and that's what I used to make this journal. I didn't want to waste paper. I just wanted to make it work, and I kind of like the length of it. One thing I'm struggling with in the journal that I created earlier this year for studying the Gospels is the size. It's very small. It's very compact. I think that one is like 8 by 5. Actually, it might be smaller than 8 by 5. It's very, very small. And so when I go to journal in it, I feel very cramped, and I'm not a fan of the size of it at all. I definitely like having more real estate on the page. So I tried to correct that with this journal by going with these scrap paper pages. Also, I just didn't want to cut them. I was way too lazy for all of that, because I guess I could have cut them in half and made them like 6 by 6 and made it like a square journal. That was too much. So we're going to see how it works. So far, I really like it, and I think it's going to be a fun thing. I'll definitely be bringing this back to the screen as I journal for future episodes of the podcast and stuff. I'll post the videos to YouTube. It did allow me to do this page that I'm working on now. This was inspired by Amanda Rach Lee. One of her bullet journal themes this year, she did kind of like this stained glass thing. She actually ended up coloring in the vellum or the tracing paper that she used for the windows. I decided to do it behind it so that I could get, I don't know, just a different type of a look. I've wanted to do something like this since I saw her journal back in, I think it was like June or July. But I didn't really have a reason to. And if I'm being 100% honest, I have no idea how I'm going to use this layout that I created across these 2 or 3 pages here. I just was like, oh yeah, I could make 7 windows that are kind of stained glass-ish like, and I can put the 7 churches of Asia Minor in there because they're important in prophecy, and it'll be really cool. And that's about as far as I got in thinking this out. Yeah, so this will be a work in progress, and we'll see how this page evolves over time. I have a couple of ideas. I don't know how they're gonna pan out, but it was really fun to make. It was a challenge. I didn't film a lot of this process because I was working through it in my head. And post doing this, I realized that there was a much easier way to actually put this page together. So first of all, I actually cut like strips of vellum for each window, and then there's 2 pages, 2 pieces of paper that are taped together or glued together, and then the vellum is in between them. I definitely could have not cut the vellum and just, you know, put a whole sheet of vellum in between the 2 pages. It would have been slightly thicker, but not that much thicker. I don't think it would have made a difference. So that was a bunch of extra cutting for no reason. I also should have cut the 2 pages that I sandwiched together at the same time. It would have been a little difficult because they were thick, but it would have helped me line up the boxes. If you see where there's like white showing through, that's where the boxes weren't perfectly lined up between the 2 white pages, and I had to tape them together, and it was just like, oh, oops. Didn't do that quite right. So it's a little messy, and I think, you know, pointing out where mistakes happen, I think, you know, just a reminder, like, nothing is perfect. Nobody's journal is perfect. And to a certain extent, you know, that's to be expected. I have a tendency to be a bit of a perfectionist in my journal, but most of my journals have major mistakes in them, and I just do things to try to make it look okay, and sometimes I just roll with it. So, you know, I don't mind pointing them out on the channel so that, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's about enjoying it and using it to grow closer to God and to learn. On that previous page, I did get some bleed through from the alcohol-based markers that I used, so I just used a sticker to cover it up. I will caveat right here that because I used alcohol-based markers for those spreads for the first like 2 or 3 pages, those pages are actually all doubled up. So I typically use 80 or 100-pound paper in my journals. This is no different. And for this page that I'm showing now, this cover page, and that page where I actually colored in the windows, I taped 2 pages together to handle that alcohol ink, and I still got bleed through, so that should tell you something. Anyway, I will be bringing this back to show you how I use it. I hope you enjoyed. Leave me comments, questions, and I will talk to you in the chat box. See you guys.